Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you by Togen's Fly Shop, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and Hardy Rods and Reels. Today on the bench I want to tie you up the Pale Olive Chironomid. Now we've done a bunch of testing throughout the year and we found this color, this pale olive, I use real pale olive thread, works really well when you're going to coat the fly. So we always coat it with a Solera as a UV coating, and this fly really shines with these colors. So make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook, we use a Togen's 2X long curved size 14. We'll use some 8/0 pale olive thread to tie with, a 7/64 inch Togen's black nickel bead for the bead, some white Antron for the gills, some 8/0 pale olive thread for the body, some 0.2 millimeter copper wire for the rib, some 8/0 rust thread for the thorax, and a red Pantone pen to mark the butt. So to start the fly off, I put the bead on the hook. We're just going to take our green thread and we're just going to wrap in a little bit. Then we're going to take our white Antron and we're just going to put in a small amount right at the very head end for the gills. Cut off your thread and then push the bead up over the gills. Now the gills are tied in, we're going to retie on our thread. Take a small amount of your 0.2 copper wire and lay it right down parallel to the hook until you get close to the hook bend. Now that we have the wire tied in, I just do a little trick at the very end here. I just color my thread. It's easier than changing thread. I just color a little bit, greeny red. I'm putting some red on the green thread. And just to kind of make a little bit of a cheater butt section, I go behind the wire. And I'm just going to take, 6 or 7 wraps just to taper up to that wire. And it makes a nice little red butt on the fly. So now that we've got the wire tied in and we've got the little cheater red butt at the end, we're going to slowly wrap our thread up and create the body. Now that we have the body taper tied in, I'm going to take my copper wire and again 5, 6, 7 wraps, really doesn't matter, I usually do with theirs. And again, never cut your wire off, just take a few wraps and do some loops, do some some little spirals there and your wire will just snip right off. Now a lot of times we can actually finish with the fly that way. We can leave it with a totally green body, the bead head, but I like to finish just by accentuating the thorax just slightly with the rust colored thread. So I'm just going to whip finish my thread there, my green thread. Just going to take a few wraps with some rust colored thread just to get it tied in. And again, you don't want a huge thorax, so really I just take about 5 or 6 wraps because I want it tapered towards that bead. And then I whip finish it off there. So you just want a small, rust colored or brown thorax. You can really accentuate if you add a little bit of Solera on there. So any kind of UV finish. Put a little bit on there and then just hit it with your UV light to cure it up. So now we're left with the gills. So an easy way to cut the Antron is to pull it back over your bead and right at the edge of the bead, just snip it. So there it is, Don's Pale Olive Chironomid. Again, you have to vary the body colors. We've experimented pale olives, bright greens, all of them can work at different times because you have to be ready for every type of chironomid hatch. But this one's very effective when you have olive chironomids coming off, so make sure you give it a try.